Hey guys, it's Austin, and Apple just had a very huge keynote that unveiled a ton of new devices, and this video is going to be showcasing those said devices. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the iPhones. The iPhones were a very huge part of this event. We actually got 3 new iPhones, so we have the iPhone 8, the iPhone 8 Plus, and the iPhone 10, or as some people are calling it, the iPhone X. And that is the one that I'm going to start with first because that's the one that I am the most excited about, and it's just a huge release for Apple. It straight up looks nothing like any other iPhone before. If you saw this, you would never think Apple made it, and it has a huge 5.8-inch display on the front, and there's pretty much no bezel on the front. And the display is the very first display in an iPhone to not only be an OLED display and an HDR compatible display. And this means that it just straight up looks amazing. Everything on it just looks super huge. And I know that 5.8-inch screen sounds super huge, but it's actually smaller than the iPhone 8 Plus, despite having a bigger screen, just because of the lack of bezels. And you might have noticed that because of that lack of bezel, we don't have the traditional home button that we've had on the previous iPhone on this iPhone. And you're right, it is gonzo's, and instead we have this new bar on the bottom screen of the phone, and it's all gesture controlled. So basically, if you want to go to the home screen, you just swipe up, no matter if you're in an app or if you want to unlock the phone, again, you just swipe up. If you're within an app and you want to switch apps, you can swipe left and right to cycle between the apps. And at first I didn't know if I would be a huge fan of this. I really didn't think I would like it, but after seeing it on stage being tried out and everything like that, I fell in love with it. I think if I had this phone, it would make using it just a lot faster because of that switching apps feature. And if you say break your phone, you don't have to worry about the whole putting a third-party Touch ID on there, how Apple did quit letting you do that. You don't have that to worry about anymore. I'm just overall, like I said, a huge fan of this. And now you might be asking yourself, Austin, where is Touch ID on this phone? And that too is also gone. And I also didn't think I would be a fan of this, but Apple replaced it with something called Face ID. And the name is pretty self-explanatory. Instead of using Touch ID like a fingerprint to sign into your phone, you use your face. So the front of the phone, you probably noticed the cutout on the top. That has a buttload of cameras and sensors to help read your face. And according to Apple, it'll be able to read your face no matter if it's dark out, or if you change your hair, maybe you put some makeup on, put a hat on, put glasses on. No matter what you do, it should be able to read just your face. And they say that it'll be more secure than Touch ID was, and only 1 in a million people should be able to unlock your phone with this. Nobody can hold a photo up to it. It has to be your actual face, and it will work like Touch ID, where the more times that you do it, the better it will get at reading your face. And I haven't tried this out, obviously, so I don't know how well it works, but I'm hoping that it works like Touch ID does and just works really well. You can use it in third-party apps, so not only Apple Pay, but you can use it in any third-party app like LastPass, that where it would have asked for your Touch ID authentication, it will ask for your Face ID instead. And helping power all of this is the all-new Apple A11 Bionic chip with 3 GB of memory. And all you need to know is that this is a super fast processor. It is a 6-core chip, the very first to ever be put in an iPhone, and it is basically the fastest chip that you will find in any smartphone, period. Just super fast stuff. Multitasking shouldn't be a problem, playing any games, using any apps. No matter what you do, this phone will fly through it. You will not be able to slow down this phone, I guarantee it. And moving over to the back of the phone, you'll find that we have a glass back, and the reason for that is because this allows for wireless charging, which yes, is in the iPhone. We have G wireless charging, which is super cool. I'm not a huge fan of wireless charging, but it's nice to have because a lot of places like Starbucks or some IKEA furniture have it built in, so you can set your phone down on the table and start charging your phone. And I think the convenience of something like that is super nice to have in an iPhone. And Apple is also releasing sometime next year, so look out for it, something called the Air Dock, which will basically allow you, it's a long pad and you can put your iPhone on it, but also if you have a friend's iPhone with wireless charging, you can put that on there too, so more friends can charge their phones. But what it's meant for is for you to put your Apple Watch as well, or AirPods. You can get AirPods with a wireless charging case now. So if you have multiple Apple devices, they're all going to start supporting wireless charging. So you can put them all on this dock, charge them all at once when you go to bed or whenever, and I think it is a super cool product. And besides that, we have a very similar 12 megapixel dual camera setup like we've seen in the previous iPhone with the wide angle and telephoto lens. But the cool new things about this is that it supports 4K video at 60 frames per second, and you can do slow-mo 240 frames per second at 1080p, so slow-mo video will look a lot better. And you also get some depth sensing in both cameras for AR, augmented reality stuff, which is super cool. So your Snapchat filters are gonna look a lot better. The geo filters where you hold your finger over your face and they pop up on your face, there's gonna be some new ones of those, and they're gonna work and just look a lot better. And you also have some improvements to the portrait camera, so you can do more portrait lighting effects is what Apple is calling them. So you can have the background be black. It's kind of like a green screen where it will separate the subject from the background, and there's like I think 5 or so however many new effects with this. I think it's really cool. And you can also do these same portrait effects on the front facing 7 megapixel front facing camera. So I think it's really cool to have that implemented. If I had to nitpick and pick something that I don't like about the iPhone X, is that it is super expensive. So if you want this phone right now, you're going to be looking at $1,000 for the 64 gig model, and that's before tax and shipping depending on where you're buying it from. And if you want more storage, you can get a 256 gigabyte model, but that will start out at $1,150, which is super expensive. You can only get this phone in space gray and silver, and you are getting some premium build material. So Apple is saying that the glass on the front and the back is the strongest glass ever put into a phone, and you have a stainless steel frame. So I'm not denying that it's a premium phone, and I'm not saying it's not worth the price, but that's just really expensive for a lot of people. Now, if the 10 isn't your thing, Apple did release a standard iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, pretty much the same thing as last year's iPhone, but you get some cool new improvements like the A11 chip on the inside, new camera sensors, wireless charging with the glass back, and you do get a true tone display on the front, which is what we've had on the iPads for a little bit now, where basically it just shifts the colors of the screen depending on the environment around you to help improve your viewing experience. This is also available on the iPhone 10, but one thing that isn't available on the iPhone 8 that you do get on the 10 is some of those depth features that I was talking about with the dual camera setup. And the iPhone 8 and 10 also have stereo speakers, which is really nice to have. They're apparently 25% louder than those on the iPhone 7, so that's another improvement. But that's pretty much it. You can pick them up, you can pick both of these phones up, the 8 and the 8 Plus, at the same starting prices that the 7 and 7 Plus started out at. You can get them in space gray, silver, and gold. Now you can only get these phones in either 64 or 256 gigabytes of storage, so not a huge lot of customization, but then again, I think most people are going to be fine with that. And pretty much everything else is the same as the 7 according to Apple. So when I tried to look up the battery life and things like that, they just quoted it as the same as the iPhone 7. Now there was more than just iPhones announced at this event, so I want to take 60 seconds to talk about that stuff. We have a new Apple Watch Series 3 that supports LTE that you pay for through your carriers, and that new chip inside makes fitness tracking more accurate and literally everything else about the watch faster. And did I mention there's a new Sport Loop band? And there's also a new 4K Apple TV with 4K movie rentals, so that's cool. iOS 11 will be available September 19th, and I'll have a review of that out if you want to know more. And also Apple Park, it's a new building from Apple, powered by 100% solar panels. It has an Apple Store and a visitor center on the inside. And every Tuesday they will be having people come in to teach you how to take better photos or code apps, things like that. See, I didn't even need the full 60 seconds. The iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10 only come in a couple of colors, nowhere near what they did last year. So you want to change that. Slickwraps make skins that you can put on your phone. So if you want a red iPhone, blue iPhone, green iPhone, you can have a color changing Samsung device. No matter what, I'll have their link in the description so you can go ahead and check them out. And you can use the offer code austingarner to get $5 off of your order. But that's pretty much it. I want to know what you guys think down below in the comment section. And thank you guys so much for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next video.